Hi everyone, I'm here. Today we are going to be discussing this case from 1986, which is actually quite interesting because one detail changed everything in this case and led to a conviction. As we get started today, I want to thank a friend for bringing this case to my attention. This case was requested by a supporter. If you have a case you would like to see, please go to the website to submit your case. This case begins in West Virginia in January of 1986. In January of 1986, a young man named David Farrell was getting ready to graduate from high school. He had plans to join the military after graduation. His father, Eugene Farrell, worked as an electrician at a local plywood plant. David was very close with his dad. The two did things together, including fishing. They were very much looking forward to a trip they had planned for Florida. On January 17, 1986, David never showed up for school. His mom and dad went out to look for him. They knocked on doors of his friends but couldn't find him anywhere. Eugene called the police and reported his son missing. Police searched for David for several days but didn't turn up anything. Eugene never gave up hope that his son would be found. He put up several $100s of his own money to offer as a reward. A few days after David went missing, Eugene got a call from someone saying they had David. Eugene immediately got into his car and drove to where he was told to go. When he arrived, he saw several officers there and quickly learned that they weren't there about David. Instead, these officers wanted to question him about something else. The officers asked Eugene if he knew anyone who lived on the road where he had gone, and if he knew anything about any stolen vehicles. Eugene said that he did not. At this point, he was growing very worried about his son and left. He called David's cell phone number from a payphone, but it wasn't any good. It had been disconnected. Eugene went home and waited, hoping that his son would show up soon. When he got home, he noticed that someone had broken into his van and stolen some items. He filed a police report for this as well. Over the next few weeks, Eugene continued to search for his son, put up reward money, and even appeared on a local talk show in hopes that someone would come forward with information. However, he didn't have much success. Finally, almost 3 months after his son went missing, he got a call from a woman who claimed to have seen David around May. She said that she had just seen him walking down the street. Eugene rushed to the area where she had seen him, but David was nowhere to be found. A few days later, the police received a call that came in about a suspicious man matching David's description. The caller said that the man had approached her while she was walking down the street and tried to strike up a conversation with her. The man had run off when she screamed. Police followed up on this lead, but it too came up empty. Eugene never stopped searching for his son, however. Every day he would drive around looking for signs of his son. He put up billboards along the highway offering a reward for information leading to his son's whereabouts. Then one night in April, almost 4 months after David went missing, Eugene was driving home from Charleston when he saw a man walking along the highway. The man was wearing a brown jacket. Eugene stopped to ask him if he needed a ride. The man said that he did and got in the car. As Eugene drove, the man told him that his name was Gregory and that he was hitchhiking to Beckley. Eugene dropped him off at a gas station. Gregory thanked him for the ride and promised to pay him back someday. Then he went into the gas station. Eugene thought nothing more of it until about a week later, when he was watching the news. On the news was a story about a missing boy from Ohio. The boy had been missing for 2 years, and the only lead in the case was that someone had seen him in West Virginia, and the boy had been wearing a brown jacket. This sparked something in Eugene's mind. Could this boy he had given a ride to be the missing boy from Ohio? Did he have something to do with his son's disappearance? Eugene immediately contacted the police and told them about the boy he had picked up. Police looked into it and determined that the 2 boys were the same, but unfortunately, Gregory had already disappeared again. For the next 2 years, Eugene kept up the search for his son. He never gave up hope that David was out there somewhere, but sadly, no new leads ever came in. In 1988, 2 years after David went missing, Eugene got a call from a friend. His friend told him that someone had been talking about a place where there was a buried treasure, and that this person seemed to know where it was. Eugene immediately went to the police and told them what his friend had said. The police were skeptical but agreed to check it out. They searched the area but couldn't find anything. About a year later, Eugene got another call. This time it was from someone who said that they had information about the case. They told Eugene that he needed to go to a certain part of town and dig up his son's body. Horrified, Eugene followed these instructions and dug up the body of his son. He immediately called the police and told them what he had done. Police arrested the person who told Eugene where to dig up his son's body. That person was Gregory C. He confessed to kidnapping David from school and then burying his body. He also confessed to killing 2 other boys from the area. Gregory was charged with 3 counts of murder. At Gregory's trial, he claimed that he acted alone in all 3 murders, but evidence showed that he wasn't telling the truth. One of the things that implicated him in the murder of David was the fact that someone else had been with him when he buried the boy. Gregory had tried to claim that he acted alone, but evidence showed that this wasn't true. In the end, Gregory was convicted of all 3 murders and sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. During the trial, the defense tried to say that David's death may have accidentally during a struggle, or that maybe David died from a drug overdose. However, the medical examiner testified that it was most likely that David was strangled. Also, David's wallet and shoes were found in a creek not too far away from where he was buried. Someone had tried to clean them up to remove any fingerprints. This helped prove to the jury that this was no ordinary killer. This was a killer who had done this before. This was a killer who was still out there and who could strike again. Even though Gregory was convicted, he still maintains his innocence to this day. He claims that he didn't kill any of the boys, and that he didn't even know David. He says that he was just hanging out with some friends who told him that they had kidnapped a boy. He says that he never saw the actual kidnapping, and that he didn't have anything to do with the death of the boy. Gregory says that he was convicted based on the testimony of one witness, and that the physical evidence was weak. He says that he has never accepted the guilty plea because he is innocent. What do you think? Do you think that Gregory is telling the truth? Do you think he had nothing to do with the death of David? Let me know in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. Also, if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. I would really appreciate it. Thanks for watching. See you next time.